sent it on this thing again.
Huh?
I sent it to you on Skype.
Okay. Ringdegbenro, welcome. Okay, let me see if we're on Facebook. Collins, welcome. Adeshola, welcome. You call it Democracy Day, eh?
That's May 29th, yes. It's Nigeria's Democracy Day.
Right. That's my birthday, eh?
Wow.
They do democracy on my birthday, one day after my birthday.
Maurice. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let me welcome. Victor, Veshima, Tuli, Perry, Mabel, Tracy, Blessing, Shade, Peter, Mango. Welcome all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please go invite your friends and family members, and let's meet. Let's come and have this engaging session with Bamisaye Victor. It's always engaging each time we meet with him. We had an engaging one also with Arno earlier on today. But this time it is Victor that will be answering my questions, not me answering the question. I'm just the one going to be acting as the journalist this time. All right. How is life, Victor? How is school?
Well, life is going well, and school, I'm finishing the first of 2 years, and after that, I would have my specialization as a psychiatrist.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it about psychiatry for you?
Yeah, for me, I think growing up, I always wanted to be a psychiatrist. Okay. And the mindset growing up was that I was going to be able to treat a madman and then preach the gospel to him. That was my mindset growing up. It was like a fantasy. So in my 4th year, I was confused a little bit, because as of the time, you're trying to discover yourself. I was trying to discover myself the more, trying to see what is it that I'm meant to do. Then in doing that, I realized that I had so many things to me beyond just medicine, in fact. Now when you even come to medicine, I do not necessarily see myself walking the corridors of hospital for 8 hours. So I was thinking of going into public health, because with that also I can do advocacy. But I think the ceiling point was the day I miraculously met some American psychiatrists who were on tour in Ukraine to train some of their soldiers. And that for me was like an encounter, and I sensed it in my spirit that this is the way to go. Of course, I didn't just rest on that. I also called a lot of my colleagues who had already gone into that field to ask about how it was. I called people also in different fields just before I made my final decision. So, and it was psychiatry eventually. So that again confirms to me that sometimes it's as though God already puts purpose inside of us and seals it there. And sometimes the things that we thought or we think that our childhood fantasies are definitely our adulthood realities. So I think that was it for me, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Now, right now, we are meeting with you, and we are going to be talking about a new book that is coming out next week.
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell us about this new book that you have written? First of all, start by telling us of your other book, the one that is more autobiography.
Oh yeah, I authored a book in 2016, which I titled "But Not Orphaned." In "But Not Orphaned," I talked about my journey and the mentality, the mindset that I had, and kept me through my trials and my problems as someone who had lost both parents. Naturally, people will define you as an orphan, and there are challenges that come with that. Of course, I had the challenge, but there was some mindset that helped me go through that. And from that, I was able to realize that there's a difference between a situation that you are in and your reality. I realized that people could be in, very bad situations, but have very good reality. I realized that the difference is in what people know, is in what is in what they know and the laws and principles that they are guided by, irrespective of the situation that they were. And so for me, having the knowledge that I had then, and going through pain, going through struggles, going through tribulation, going through loneliness, there was a mindset that I had and kept me going on. And I was able to achieve, in fact, all of the dreams and all of the things I wanted to achieve as an undergraduate in medical school. I did all of them exceptionally well. So I felt there was something to share beyond the pains of being parentless. I felt there was a lot people could learn from the mindset that kept me going. And so that's why I penned down But Not Orphaned. So my situation was that I was parentless, but my reality was that I was not orphaned, because I knew that I had God, and if I had God, that was all I needed. And the knowledge of God comes with the knowledge of searching for omnipotence. So when you're talking of omnipotence, now you know you need to look for every knowledge in every field that applies to you. So that knowledge of God kept me through all of those times. And so that was what I wrote down in But Not Orphaned. And I was able to describe so many things. What is responsible, because the main question that I answered with the book is that what is responsible for the outcome of a man? Is it his situation? Is it the people around him, or he, or the man himself? And so I was able to prove that it is the man that is responsible for himself, even though every other factor plays a role. Your situation plays a role, that is true. The people around you or otherwise play a role, that is true. But it is you who decides ultimately what becomes of your life. And so that was what I was able to prove in the book. And the reviews we've got that I've received for that book is mind-blowing. And for those who might not have read it, I advise them to get it. It's on Amazon. You need to read that book.
But Not Orphaned.
Yes, sir. But Not Orphaned. From despair to inspire.
From despair to inspire.
And that I have adopted as my personal motto now, my personal word. That's my trademark. So every time Bamisaye Victor is mentioned, it should be under it, Bamisaye Victor, from despair to inspire, because that just summarizes my life and the history that I would like to leave behind.
Okay. Because you lost your two parents.
Yes. And the struggle was real.
And you are still able to train yourself to the university level and able to go and study overseas.
Yeah. And not just even that, the whole idea that one could still keep hold and hold on to his dreams. You know, when you are growing lean, when you are losing weight and you can still keep your focus straight. I mean, that level of still chasing dreams, still still pursuing purpose, even though the odds are against you. I remember when it seemed as though I was never going to graduate. I was, I remember I was suspended from university twice because of tuition fees. And it looked like everything was going to collapse. And that was my final year. It looked like everything was going to collapse. So there was, it's a point you get to, and it's almost like breaking point. And a lot of people definitely saw me breaking. But a lot of people, most of those who saw me breaking thought I was going to break down. But what they did not know was that I was just breaking through. And so immediately I broke through, I broke out. So that was it for me. And that was why I was able to write But Not Orphan.
Beautiful, beautiful. So people can get that book on Amazon?
Yes, sir. It's on Amazon currently.
Both Kindle and paperback?
Yeah, both Kindle and paperback.
But this, your next book, is a totally different ball game.
Yes, a totally different ball game. A totally different ball game. Because this moves from individuality into society. So it's left the level of personal to societal. So now it's not just about my story. And of course, my story also has its role and its influence on society, because if people will live by the mindset that I described in But Not Orphan, and if they could understand my story and see where I'm coming from, I think it will inspire a lot of people to do better. But for this current project, it is purely societal. And I'm looking at a global paradigm, or using Nigeria as a fulcrum, as a pinpoint from where I'm addressing societies that may look like Nigeria or even have lesser problems than Nigeria. So I'm saying, if the things I'm going to describe in this book, and of course they can settle the complexities of Nigeria, but if it can do that, that means that many nations who are even better than Nigeria can harness it and even do so much with it. So the shift has just been from personal story to now addressing societal issues.
Yeah, this book is a very, very important book to me personally, because I personally know that the answer to Nigeria's problem is not in looking for a messiah, which the country is still doing right now. Right now, when you look at the political scene, in Nigeria, you will see that everybody is still, especially the youth, they are desperate looking for the messiah. Maybe this one. They are making a big deal of individual personalities. So, which is going to be a flop. As a matter of fact, on one hand, I want Buhari to win because he could continue what he started. But on the other hand, I want him to lose so that we could get somebody that is a young person, and somebody totally new to the political scene, so that nobody will now say it is still the old brigade, so that when this new person now comes and he doesn't perform better than Buhari, so that our people will now know that, okay, this thing is a futile exercise in looking for a messiah to rescue the nation. Because I know that messiah is not the answer to resolve the Nigerian situation. The answer is going to be in changing the value system of Nigerians. And that's exactly what you have captured very well in this book. So that's why I'm very much in particular about this book, because very few people in Nigeria as a whole know that the problem of Nigeria is not in the economy, and the problem of Nigeria is not in politics, that the problem of Nigeria is the value system. Worse still, I've discovered that maybe 80% of Nigerians don't even know what a value system is, and how a value system, maybe 90% of Nigeria or 99% would not know how to save and rescue a nation through value system. So that's why to see a young man like you, 25 years old, addressing a national issue to this magnitude, I really want to, see that there is hope. And this hope that I'm seeing with Nigeria is only connected with people that are less than 30 years old. In this week alone, I've spoken to 2 people that are less than 25, and 2 of them have really shown me that the hope is connected to them. You are the 3rd one, that I'm seeing. People that are less than 30 years old are bringing solution and are thinking on the level that other people have just lost out in, because it's like other people are still transfixed in thinking of, thinking in the old way of looking for leaders, a Messiah leader, things like that. So tell us about this, your new book. It's having an interesting title, Rebirth. Tell us about it.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. My new book, Rebirth, is just something that I've put together, obviously from the realities of life and the principles that many of which you have resounded over time and time again. We've learned that from you. And I went now to sit down and see what I've digested, look at the reality of what's on ground. And I was able to come to terms within myself that, the problem of Nigeria is not institutional. The problem of Nigeria is not in the government. The problem of Nigeria is not in who is the president or who is not. I realized that the problem of Nigeria is a accumulation or is a product of the values of the average Nigerian, the value system by which the average Nigerian operates. One of the easiest questions I've had to answer, and I was really satisfied with the answer I got, is number one, who are those in the place of in the institutions? They are Nigerians. Who are those who are the presidents or who are the political leaders? These guys are Nigerians. Who are those who sell in the market? These guys are Nigerians. Who are those in the labor market or who are in labor? These guys are Nigerians. Who are those who dictate the prices of things? These guys are Nigerians. So it therefore means that whatever economy we have, it therefore means that whatever the situation of things are, the people that are responsible are Nigerians. So it is pertinent to discuss what is the value that drives these people, because it is value that describes the direction that a nation or a people group will go. In fact, an individual will go. So you may have the biggest zeal in this world, you may have the biggest power, the biggest force, and you can see that over 60% of the Nigerian population, they are youths. So where the energy of the youth leading us to, you find out that all of these are just scalar quantities or vector. They do not have direction, but the zeal, the power is there, the momentum is there, but no direction. Why? Or let me say, wrong. They are moving in the wrong direction. Why? Because they are being driven by the wrong values. So I thought that if I should come and address some of these values, and of course my book does not contain all of the values that are needed, but some that I find out that these are specifics and these are very important. If at least they will get this number of values, so the nation will be changed. So I have not discussed that in this book. So why do I think it is important? I think it is important because
first of all, would you like to start with the title?
Yeah, Rebirth. So I called it Rebirth
and the subtitle as well.
Yeah. So I called it Rebirth: How Values Can Transform a Nation as Complex as Nigeria. So every nation is born at a point in time. You have proven that with your book, the purpose and calling of nations. And I advise anyone who has not, who does not have that book now to get it today. You've proven that the birth of nations and how nations have purpose and the reason why they exist. So for Nigeria to exist at this moment, it means it was birthed in a day. It means it was given birth to at a point in time. So we exist now because we've been birthed. So, but what can, if we've been birthed and we live and we have a set of life, a way of life that we live now, it means we are living in accordance to the birth that we had, or at least a decadence of it. So if anything will be better, then we need to have a rebirth, just like an individual. And the way we call it in the Christian world, they say someone has become born again. Why? Because the moment he accepts some values and changes his way of life, those values begin to dictate his life from that moment henceforth. So it is the values that dictate his life from that point that makes people say, oh, this guy has become born again. So I realized that if the values that drive the direction of Nigeria would be changed, would be addressed, and the people will imbibe, inculcate, and live by the right values, then we can say that this is the point at which our nation was reborn. So I realized that Rebirth actually suits it. And it's called Rebirth, How Values Can Transform a Nation as Complex as Nigeria. Now, why that? A lot of people have different theories and different excuses about why Nigeria does not work. They go into ethnicity, the fact that there are so many languages, about 500. They go into the diverseness of culture. They go into religion. But Nigeria, that is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. There are nations that have these diversities too and are doing very well. So I found out what is the difference. I saw that it was values. And I realized that values is no respecter of ethnicity. It is no respecter of culture. It is no respecter of religion. If anyone should imbibe the right values, irrespective of these diversities that I've mentioned before, they will lead a good life. They will help in the building of their nation. They will help in directing their nation towards the right path. So I discovered that if only the right values can be introduced into the genome, into the gene, into the blood of the average Nigerian, then the Nigerian people, the Nigerian nation can be transformed, can be changed from what it is now. As a matter of fact, sir, I proved just how ordinary respect, just respect, can change the nation. I've proven in this book how honesty can change the nation. I've proven in this book why selective respect, which is what we practice in Nigeria today, is the bane of the society. And anywhere there's selective respect, for instance, the respect for just because he's a man, the respect for someone's occupation, the respect for someone's position, the respect for wealth, I've been able to prove in this book why it is bad. And if we will not, if we will throw that away and imbibe to respect human, just because this person is human, I am going to respect him. If Nigerians will just imbibe that, I have proven how it will transform our nation. So you see that all of these values, bring them together, and you see that if Nigerians can just imbibe these values, if we can live by these values, and it is possible, we need to just propagate it, and that's what I'm starting by this book. And of course, you've been in this journey longer than I have been, but I'm trying to also add my voice and my own reasoning, and so that's why I brought this up. So, Rebirth, our values can transform a nation as complex as Nigeria. So if Nigerians will imbibe the right values, then we will experience a rebirth as a nation. And it will be like magic. The way Nigeria will change overnight, it will just be like magic.
There are a lot of questions you raise in this book.
Yes, sir.
And in the very beginning of the book, you started raising the issue of questioning. And you argue that Nigeria as a society does not encourage questioning. And,
yes, sir.
And because of that, we have destroyed the future of the country. How about that? How
yes,
is
sir. That? You know, a man once said, that's, sorry. A man once said, I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that cannot be questioned. This mindset, sir, is the substratum of developed nations. This is how nations have built themselves. This is how technological advancement has happened. This is the mindset behind the first, the second, the third, and now the fourth, probably going to the fifth industrial revolution. To have answers, to have questions that cannot be answered, than having answers that cannot be questioned. But the reverse is the case in Nigeria, for instance. We have answers that cannot be questioned. We delight so much in having answers that will never be questioned. This is the society that we live in. And what that brings is stagnation. It means that what we know now becomes the apex. It becomes the zenith of our knowledge. we will never go beyond that, because this is what is known and this is what must be. And so that's why we are not developing, that's why we are not producing things. We are not challenging the brains of people to work. And this starts right from childhood. And we know that, for instance, the learning of language, just the learning of language, not mathematics now, not even calculus, not even programming, just the idea that you can learn a new language, it helps in the production of neurons, in the activation of neurons. And the neurons are the cells of the brain. So it means that when someone can just speak 2 different languages, his mind is going to be enlarged. And it's been proven also in Alzheimer's disease that people who learn more languages are going to be at less risk of suffering Alzheimer's. So it means that the ability to just have a new information expands the capacity of the brain. Now imagine, sir, and of course we know that it is our childhood that that there's a lot of regeneration, a lot of growth that takes place at childhood. So imagine that you have an average Nigerian child who is never allowed to question a thing, who cannot even have a differing opinion. Imagine the damage that is being done to his brain. His brain is not allowed expansion, because what he's been given is just the status quo and never allowed to challenge it. The guy who tries to challenge something in Nigeria is seen as the stubborn guy. He's seen as the guy who is problematic. Even if he does not understand, allow him question. Because I have also discovered, sir, that because of this lack of questioning, we now have a lot of information that is not processed, that is not attached to anything. Memory suggests that it is the answers to your question that you remember. So if now I'm speaking to people, sir, as I am doing now, and people do not, what I'm saying now is not answering any question, I bet you immediately after this conversation, they will forget exactly what I said. And that's the same thing that is happening in Nigeria. So because people are not allowed to ask questions, their mind is not conditioned to having questions. And because their mind is not conditioned to asking questions, there is no anchorage for information. So it is hardly possible for the average Nigerian to retain information productively as his mates elsewhere who have been allowed to ask questions from childhood. And that's why people are innovating. And Nigerians are still drawing and labeling lizard. People are doing a lot of scientific demonstration in high schools. In Nigerian high school, we are still drawing the thorax, abdomen of a cockroach. That's what we are still doing, because nobody is allowed to challenge. Nobody is allowed to ask questions. And this, number one, is a very important bane that must be addressed. We must allow our children to ask questions. We ourselves must ask questions. Another man said, sir, that judge a man by the questions he asks and not the answers he gives. Judge a man by the nature of the questions he asks and not the answers he gives. People who have developed their nation, people who have raised up their nation, they've done so on the platform of the ability to ask questions. I challenge someone today. Just imagine that when the supposed apple dropped, Isaac Newton did not ask questions. Isaac Newton asked questions, and that question became what we know today as the law of gravity. But the law of gravity in itself was not to be the epiphase or the zenith of in that field, in that regard. There was still something to come called the law of relativity. Imagine that Einstein was not able to question the propositions and what had then become a law of Newton, just because Newton is the big guy in the field. He would not have been able to achieve what he achieved. And today, people are going into space. Today, more orbits are being discovered. Today, more planets are coming. Today, we are able to see and we are able to float things and launch satellites just because we now understand something called the law of relativity, what is generally known now as the E is equal to mc squared. All of this came on the platform of questions. As a matter of fact, to make anything better, you must be able to ask questions. What is it that needs to be better? How can this thing work better? You know, this every advancement that has been produced, they come on the platform of questions. So you can find out what will happen to a nation that does not encourage questions. You'll see that there will be no advancement. There will just be no advancement, because all they will be looking for is status quo, status quo, status quo. But again, I look at a nation, for example, like Singapore. Singapore looked at itself and developed for itself models that will work for it, or for her rather. Singapore developed models to fight corruption that will work for Singapore. They didn't do it the way America will do it. But now we are trying to do something, they call it best practices in the world. But best practices in the world may necessarily not be best practices for Nigeria. But because we do not ask questions, we will just go for what, as of that time, is the status quo. So Nigerians, if we have to change Nigeria, we must address this issue of asking questions. Do I need to go, sir, into the fact that, for instance, the whole idea of a weak labor that Nigeria has now comes from the fact that people are not encouraged to ask questions? Do I prove that now, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
The fact that we have weak labor in Nigeria, the labor unions are so weak, they cannot get anything, any demand met. The idea is this, a guy goes to the university in Nigeria, and the university, the whole idea of having a university is that you produce the prototype of the people that you are going to release into the society. So the university is meant to get the politician ready. The university is meant to get the lawyer ready. The university is meant to get the businessman ready. So you build them in such an aspect. But you know what is happening in Nigerian university? Nobody is allowed to have a contrary opinion. Whatever the VC or the school administration says is final. Whatever your teachers or your lecturer says is final. You dare question, you are going to be suspended. If you are not suspended, you are going to be expelled. And you will even think that this only happens in public universities. No, they are even worse in private universities that we thought was going to be, or were going to be, the better alternatives. So you find out now that the university is producing people into the society who cannot stand for anything. Who, the way the Nigerian will say, who will not get liver. They cannot stand for anything. So they don't know what it means to dissent. They don't know what it means to disagree. They don't know what it means to ask for their rights. They don't know what it means to ask when they do not understand what is going on. So now the society is full of people who do not dare to ask any question at all. So now when these people now get into labor unions, they just don't know how to question. They just don't know how to get their rights. And if you look at the days of strong student unionism, sir, those were the days that even military juntas, they were challenged, because the university then allowed people to express themselves and ask questions. There was strong student unionism. But nowadays, the professor, now nobody is paying him well, and nobody can ask questions for him. Nobody can protest for him. Nobody can make demands for him, because they have successfully pushed into the society people who are not baked to stand for something. People who cannot dare to question. And so that's why a lot of government policies go unnoticed. They just pass the thing signed into law. Nobody's asking any question. So just this is why we also have weak union labors, because they have no support by the people who the university has produced into the society, who should have been the voices of these labor unions. So this university, Nigerian university, is producing a voiceless generation.
So universities are also culprits.
In fact, they are one of the biggest culprits in Nigeria today, after religion.
Religion gags the nation, huh?
Wow. Religion, in fact, when I was writing this book, sir, there was a chapter that I had dedicated to religion, which I called Development and a God Question. But when I started writing that chapter, I realized, no, it cannot be a chapter in this book. It has to be a book on its own. So I'm thinking of calling that one Renaissance, the role of religion, or probably maybe if I will go into specifics, but to be the role of religion in nation building, Renaissance. So that will be a project for next year, because there's one I'm hoping to release by November. So, but going into the nitty-gritty of religion, just let me address it on the basis of question and answer. Religion is a superimposition of culture. So often there's a place where a culture is coming, where the religion is coming from, it's coming with the culture of the original place. So it comes and meets a new culture and it superimposes. Sometimes there's a mixture of cultures, sometimes it just takes it automatically. But what we now have in Nigeria is a mixture of religious ideologies with the cultural tendency to say to mistake respect for not expressing oneself. So, in those days when you used to have servitude and kingdoms where people are subdued and you have kings, and so nobody dare questions the rule, the word of the king. So religion has now taken this and made it together. So now what you have is now, in Nigeria, it is very easy for the personal preferences of a religious leader to go as the supreme word of God. And why does that happen? It happens because in man, there's a space that can only be filled by God. And so man is always looking for that space to be filled. And there is one entity that is promising that, come, I have what it takes for you to be filled by God. And that entity is religion. So people go after religion and they get the utopia and the opium that they are getting filled. So they have the analgesics, they don't feel the pain, they feel full, they think things are going well. But in reality, no, they are just addicts. So when this now happens, they think that if they dare question the person acting as a representative to this God, that they are going to lose their access to the divine. And then the space in them that needs filling will no longer be filled. So religion has now brainwashed people, and so they dare not even question within the religious sphere, because every man is looking for God. So even the religious leader is looking for God. The minister is looking for God. The political leader, everybody in the society is looking for God. So when they have now been brainwashed in the church, the sad thing is that the brain does not switch when they get into the society. No, it is the mindset that church gives them that they take into the society. And so that is what has now happened, that the church has produced thoughtless people, people who do not dare to ask any question. And so when they get into the society, they still do not ask questions, because the human mind is not something you can switch off and switch on. Whatever you make into it at the hour of its plasticity is what it remains at. So when you've made them into dummies in church and in mosque, and they dare not ask questions about what they do not even understand, then when they go into the society, they are not used to asking questions, because religion seems to be the topmost part of their identity. So you'll find out now that many Nigerians will rather recognize themselves as Christians rather than identify themselves as Nigerians. So religion has occupied the topmost of their identity. And if religion occupies the topmost of their identity and they are not allowed to ask questions within that sphere, then when you climb it down the strata of what makes up the identity, they will not ask questions anyway. And so that's why even in religious, in political gatherings, all our campaigns, nobody asks questions. No one questions anything. That is because what makes the topmost identity of the average Nigerian does not allow him to ask questions.
So if religion has become or replaced the identity of individuals, what then happens to innovations and inventions and professorship and creativity?
Yeah, so when religion occupies that, what you now have that preoccupies the mind of the people is called superstition. Superstition is the belief in some theorems. And those theorems for those guys are status quo. So if they believe that God is going to strike you dead if you ask this kind of question, they will never question anything. If religion tells them that thunder is a product of sin, they will never question anything. If religion tells them that if you are sick, it is from God, they will never try to find out what is the cure for malaria. They will never try to do that. They will just accept those status quo. So what religion has done is that it has killed not just inquisition, but as a result of killing inquisition, it has killed intuition. You know, sir, that without question, knowledge is either useless or simply does not exist. So if someone cannot ask question, it definitely cannot have any sort of knowledge. Or at best, if he has a knowledge, then the question will be, what question is the knowledge answering? So you find out that at best it's useless, at worst it does not exist. I'm talking of both information and knowledge, sir.
So development will cripple, technology will suffer, and industrialization will be non-exist.
It possibly will not even exist. And you can see that, for instance, in the most religious nations of the world. The most religious nations of the world averagely are the poorest, the most underdeveloped. And, sir, I say this because the most religious nations of the world, people will think ordinarily that it ought to be where the religion came from. But no, it is those who have accepted these religions that are even more religious than the place where they came from. For example, sir, the Judeo-Christianic movement came from Israel. It came from Israel, moved through Rome, and came to, for example, Nigeria. But the average Nigerian is more Judaist than the Israelite. That's why you find out that the Levites, they've moved from Israel. Now they are living somewhere around the southwestern coast of Nigeria, of Africa, somewhere around the Atlantic area. That's where they live now, the Levites. You find out that the average northerner wants to be more Islamic than the guy in UAE or Dubai. So the average Nigerian Christian wants to be more Roman Catholic than the Pope. So with this, with religion becoming their identity now, and they absorbing it even from the original guys who had it, they are unable to think. Because the original guys who have religion, they are thinking, they are producing. That's why you see the development in Dubai, you see the development in Israel. But is it commensurate? Is it the same thing with Nigeria? No. You look at Senegal, is it the same thing? Gambia? You look at Sudan? You look at Somalia? So these nations are very poor. And you can see the trend that when religion moves, enlightenment does not move.
You know, the HMT that I have coming up in June 25th to July 3rd, is going to be 100 hours of questions. And everything is just going to be the art of questioning. Everything is going to be about questions. We are going to do a whole week, 18 hours a day of questioning. It's going to be like BA or BSc in questioning within the week. A week.
We need that, sir. We need to learn the art of questioning, because anyone who cannot question is just the direct implication is that person does not think. And what is the world without thinkers? The world is nothing. Everything we have that we enjoy now was brought about by thinking. Sir, you are wearing a waistcoat now. Someone asked a question, a very important question, and was able to come up with that fashion. There was a time your shirt with the white collar and stripe, it was not in place. Someone asked a question, how can we better this? And anyone who has not listened to your series on creation should go back and listen, and you will see that even in the mindset of God, that he was always questioning. So when every time he said and he saw that it was good, It was because he asked the question that, is this good? Is this good? What can I do to better this? He separated the day from the night. So even God does ask questions. God asks questions. So who are we not to? So there is that line, that movement, that's at the art of questioning us with creating, with creation. So you find out that if Nigerians don't ask questions, then we can hardly create. If we are not creating, it means we are basically not producing. And that's why a lot of Nigerians are not producing. Why? You look at the population we have in Nigeria, it's enough to bring out producers. But people are not asking questions. And I know a lot of us will blame government. Yes, government has a role. I do not absolve the government of their roles. But I, for one, know that it's the citizens that build a nation. And I proved that also in the book, sir.
Why did you include respect as a value that you wanted to, examine? If a lot of Nigerians will challenge you and say that, especially the Yorubas, that they don't have issues with respect. So why has respect not, if it's respect that we need, why is it that respect has not developed Nigeria ever since respect is a major part of the Nigerian culture? They will say, but don't Nigerians respect better than Europeans?
Sir, I beg to differ with the Nigerian who thinks that respect is a part of our culture. The best that those people that we have in Nigeria, and one would want to ascribe that to the Yoruba culture, is not respect. The best it is selective respect.
Subservience.
Subserviency. And this is the idea, and that's why I challenge in the book. Because, sir, if I should respect you now, and say, DSA, and you say this every time, and your assistant comes into the room, and I say, move, let me pass. Then the question is, do I have respect? Is respect a part of me? Because there's a difference between form and being. And when something is a form, you cannot say it is. It can exist as does not mean it is existence.
So what would you say it is the difference between respect in Nigeria and the respect in Japan, for example?
Okay, the respect in Japan is that it is in them. They imbibe it. They show it to you regardless of who it is. Regardless of who that person is, you will be giving your respect. Even if you are a child, they bow for their children.
So it's not just the children. It's not just the children bowing before the fathers.
Yes, is the father bowing for the children or to the children?
Yeah, vice versa.
Your employer bows before you. You bow before your employer. So, no matter who you are in Japan, they are going to put Mr. before your name.
But so our own is only a aristocratic respect.
Exactly, sir. So we look at the following things, sir. We look at age. So if someone is older than you in Nigeria, then he qualifies for respect. So you are now, that's not you. You are only developing it at that moment in time, and you are giving it. But if it were you, even if he is not older than you, you will respect him. So we respect people who are older than us. We respect people professionally, sir. Someone who is a doctor has more respect than the person who is a farmer. And when I was talking about work, sir, I proved how this particular one is affecting our economy. Because nobody wants to wear this collar that I'm wearing. No one is wearing blue collar. They want like your own. They want white collar. Because that's the only one that
I'm talking about white collar job.
Yeah. They don't want blue collar job. They want white collar job. Because it's only white collar jobs that get respect. So we respect them by their profession. And that is not respect. We have to respect people irrespective of the job that they are doing. We respect people by status. Oh, this person is a governor. Oh, Dansaki, everything. We respect them that way. Or he's my boss in the office. We respect them that way. But anyone who seems to be lesser than you in ranking or in status, he doesn't enjoy respect. Let's not even go to Japan. Let's come to Ukraine here, sir. In Ukraine, there's a setting that makes you call people by their name and their father name as a sign and mark of respect. And that is general. It doesn't matter if you are the cleaner, it doesn't matter if you are the driver, but in Nigeria, you will see somebody, maybe his driver is 50 years old and that's the job he's doing, and he's just 20 years old. He will just call him, Daniel! No respect. He just call him like he's your errand boy. Kasali, you don't just call the name just anyhow like that. No, you don't even call the name with dignity.
So no Mr. Jamil.
No Mr. Kasali, no Mr. Jamil. Nothing like that. You don't add dignity to them. But if you were to call somebody who is you not be shaking, you'll be carrying fine, you'll be shaking. And you say, oh, he is respectful. No, that's subserviency. It shows low self-esteem on the part of anyone and everyone who practices that. And I know we may not be able to get that off in a day, but we need to start now. So another thing we respect selectively is wealth. And this is why an average Nigerian, sir, will probably for the sake of hunger steal a loaf of bread, and they will be lynched.
Lynched?
But yeah, it will be lynched. It will be killed. If not killed, they will be beaten brutally for stealing maybe a bag of rice or a loaf of bread. But another guy who has stolen from the coffers of the government will be hailed. Hey, say Baba, Dansaki, Baba Niye. What's the difference? They are both thieves. But one is rich and one is poor. And that's why you see that kidnappers are kidnapping. But the Nigerian one, they were calling one billionaire kidnapper. So now, he's not just a kidnapper, he's a billionaire kidnapper. So no matter what you say, they are still giving him some sort of respect because of his wealth, even though it was illegally attained. This is the reason why people are doing Yahoo Yahoo. This is the reason for the get-rich-quick syndrome. Because people want respect. Respect is a part of the human nature. It must be given and it must be received. Everyone begs for respect. Our nature cries for it. So it must be given. But because it's not been given until you have these certain characteristics, people do anything to get it. So another thing people respect is tribe.
What? Tribe?
Tribe in Nigeria. The tribe or clan that you are from.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
I'm not aware of that one.
Wow. That is why you will get to some places you will never get a job if you do not belong to this tribe.
No, it's not because they respect the tribe.
It is part of
maybe you are describing nepotism.
It's a part of nepotism, but the only reason why you consider the other tribe before this other tribe is because you have some sort of respect and want to dignify your tribe.
No, but that's nepotism. Because
if you say nepotism, in context,
if you say that tribe is respected, the way I will understand that is this: if I see that I am, for example, from Orobo, and what happens in Nigeria is that if you are Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, but I am Orobo, and that all of you are applying for the same job, and an Orobo man also is applying, I will rather employ the Orobo man than all other tribes.
Yes, sir.
That is nepotism. But
yes, sir.
Subservience, or the respect that you are talking about, or the you said they respect tribe, selective respect. Selective respect would then be that if that there are some tribes that are specifically respected, which means even though I'm an Yoruba man, but because it is Yoruba or Hausa that is respected, I would not even employ my own, but I would respect the Hausa or Yoruba that is respected. But we don't have that, I think. I think what we have is...
No. The concept you described, it's not clear in Nigeria. I don't think we have that. But we also have this concept.
So Nigeria's own is different.
Yeah, we have this concept, sir, that we would defend those who are from our tribe. But we immediately judge those who are not from us. The concept of is a thief, but is our thief.
Are you sure?
Yeah. That's why if someone steals in Nigeria now...
But that is a new phenomenon.
Yeah, from corruption and when they start fighting corruption now. So people tend to try to protect the interest of their tribesman, not necessarily considering what is the truth here. And so the only reason why they do that is because it's Yoruba, it's Igbo, not necessarily what is happening, what is on ground.
No consideration for the truth.
Yeah, no consideration for the truth. But that is also where nepotism stems from, sir. Because if we should respect everybody, then everyone will be given equal footing.
Because of merit.
Yeah, because of merit. Merit shows respect for human, for being human. So another thing that we respect selectively, sir, is gender. And this is very heartbreaking.
I don't understand that one.
Gender.
Do you mean that Nigeria has gender issue as to respecting just the men as against the women?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that a big problem in Nigeria or what?
A very big problem. Very big problem.
I thought in Nigeria both men and women could become anything at any time.
No. You see that, for example, in the ratio of public servants in Nigeria. The ratio of people who get to attain top heights. As a matter of fact, it's just now that women are getting some sort of respect. The idea is that, something happened, maybe that was 2 years ago, when the president was said that he does not know what party his wife belongs to, but he knows she belongs to his kitchen, his living room, and the other room.
But do you think he meant it directly like that?
No.
I thought it's just people, the journalists who were stretching.
In my opinion, I think he was just being sarcastic.
Yes.
But even if it was true, it's a reflection of the average Nigerian home. And it was hypocritical to see Nigerians criticize him who have never criticized their own parents. This is the idea, sir. And I challenge many people then. Tell me, your own family, what does your mother do? What is regarded to be the role of your mom?
Kitchen.
That's the average. Yeah. An average Nigerian mom is expected to be in the kitchen. Even if she has stressed the whole day, she must cook for her husband. So they've been reduced to domestic roles. They've been stripped of the dignity of even just being human.
But why
they've been stripped of the idea and the respect to dream and to pursue their dream. No one is trying to consider that maybe this lady, and you've seen the fact that, there's a general saying that the certificate of a woman ends up in the kitchen. And so this was the argument that a lot of parents gave, not now, but many times ago, and they did not send the ladies to school. So it's still a very
But why do you think that is a respect issue? I think women are equally and adequately respected in Nigeria.
No, I don't think so. In fact, of recent, sir...
You are talking about wives.
In fact, women. I'm going to say one again. And I'm also going to say that of the women because it's also... It's vice versa. And there are two extremes that must be watched. Of recent, I posted... I made a post that should be maybe some 4 months ago. And understandably, some of my posts are quite controversial. And it only calls for debate. So you debate, you raise up your issue. So there was this lady who called out a guy that your arguments are wrong and you should not think like this. And you know what the guy wrote? The guy wrote, who invited you here? Guys are talking. You're a lady, you should take a back seat. I'm paraphrasing what he wrote. I had to call him out that, what do you mean? The fact that he's a lady, she should not have an opinion?
No, but you know that he was also being sarcastic.
No, this one was not being sarcastic. And that is the chauvinistic tendencies that take place in Nigeria, sir. Maybe traditionally, before some time, maybe it used to be, but as of now, we are still begging guys to respect ladies.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to your school where you finished.
In Ukraine or in Nigeria?
Both in Nigeria and in Ukraine, you had ladies schooling with you, maybe even more of them than the men.
Yes,
and no difference in attitude. You know, even just look at your class. You just had Nigerians, some of them were men, some of them were women, and all of you are equal. Or it starts after people marry.
Well, from this Nigerian, you know, there's a difference between the Ukrainian society and the Nigerian society.
No, I'm talking of the Nigerians.
When I was in Nigeria,
who studied with you here in Ukraine or in Nigeria?
No, when you leave the shores of Nigeria, there's some sort of reboot that somehow happens to people's brain. It's like you live the whole different climate, and that's why when you see, and I was also able to prove that in this book, Nigerians when they leave Nigeria, their potential has come out. So I don't know what is happening in that Nigeria. And that's why we are.
So okay, what about when you were in the university in Nigeria? Of course, I know a lot of university students, and you know, even campus. Go to any campus now, you will see women, girls, boys in university, and all of them are interacting just normal.
I tell you today, sir, that the interaction whatsoever you may see outside is just a conformity to the institution that they are in. It tells nothing of the average mindset of that young guy.
Okay, what is the average? What is the average mindset?
The average mindset, number one, is to see the woman as some sort of sexual object. And number two, the best she can be is a domestic appendage later. That's the average mindset.
The sexuality, that is universal.
Okay.
But the second one, do you think average Nigerian guy is looking, he's walking about the city and thinking that the woman is a wife material or something?
Yeah. Yes, sir. They want to marry a good woman, irrespective of how they are living their life now. As a matter of fact, I read something on Twitter some days ago. The guy is saying, my wife must know how to cook. That she just must know, she must be a good, he was asking the lady, can you cook? And the lady was like, can you cook? He said, how will I cook? What do you mean? I'm an engineer, a whole engineer. Why will I have time to cook? No, my wife must just know how to cook. So, can you cook? Then the lady was not saying, I am a doctor if you want to know. So I work all day. I don't have time. So you find out that mindset is coming from the idea that the lady just has to be the domestic staff of the house. So, that is just one of so many things that the whole idea of getting an equal pay for ladies as it is now. Yes, it may be a global phenomenon, right? But it's
in Nigeria, is it not equal pay?
No, equal pay.
It's not?
No.
I didn't know the practice.
It may be equal pay.
Yes.
In the sense
if you are a teacher,
in the sense of government.
Yes, of course.
But you know, of course, that government is not the only employer of labor. Government employs less than 10%.
So you mean that individuals would employ the same specialists and pay them separately?
As a matter of fact, there are some public policies, sir, that says once you are married, you no longer can work there. There are some companies that are like that. As a married woman, you are not allowed, they don't employ you. You are not allowed to work. Your employment ends the day you get married.
So you think there is discrimination against women in Nigeria?
Yes, I believe so.
Is there anything that your mother was not able to do?
I couldn't quite discuss many of her dreams with her, because at the time I began to conceptualize what dreams and aspirations are aware. I couldn't. I couldn't.
But there is nothing. Normally in Nigeria, there is nothing.
I know for sure that there were some things my mom wanted to do and my dad stopped her.
Okay.
I know for sure. I know that, for instance, in my state, my mom would have been the first person to start pure water business, the whole idea of packaging pure water. But my dad would not had a different opinion, and she could not do that. And that's not to say husbands and wives cannot talk, but I didn't think I didn't think that came from the right mindset of respecting the opinion of a woman. I thought, and from what I know now, with all due respect to my father, and he is an awesome man, altogether, but from that single incident and that single reaction, I didn't think he considered our opinion out of respect.
But we are talking about family, but you are not talking about society.
But it's family that makes up the society.
But
the family is the social unit.
No, what I mean by society is that, for example, your mom, if she were not to be married, she will have that freedom to do anything she wants. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Society itself, Nigerian society itself, is very tolerant to women. Okay. And I think so, that it provides equal opportunities, no? Maybe culture is a problem.
It generally does, but I think a little more delve into the corporate world will reveal this chauvinistic tendencies. Again, let me say this. For example, look at schools. The whole idea of sex for mark. The whole idea of sex for employment. I know it's a global trend, but a lot of awareness is coming, or is in the Western world now, but in Nigeria it's not yet there as much. So, and there's now a tendency that has grown from this now called feminism. And feminism is saying...
Do we have that in Nigeria too?
Yeah, it's coming up in Nigeria, but the Nigerian ladies, many of them are they are misunderstanding the concept of feminism. So what they are now developing is called misandry. So they are eating guys.
Okay. Now, this your book, you are addressing all these issues of values. I'm so happy. And I pray that issues of values will be addressed more often and will be raised more frequently.
Yes, sir.
For to believe that value system is what can change a nation. Tell me about that.
Yeah, still talking about this value and talking about respect. One of the issues I raised was the issue of jungle justice. Sir, I put it to you today, there is a lack of the value of respect that brings about jungle justice.
Respect for life?
Yes! Respect for human life. That's the basis of humanity. Where there's no respect for human life, not just jungle justice, but we would have dilapidation of what are meant to help the nation. For example, hospitals, roads,
infrastructures, amenities.
Infrastructure, yes, sir. Thank you for helping me with the word. You would have decadence of those, decay. Because those who are meant to do it do not value human life. I gave an example in the book, sir, of the Abuja airport when it was closed. So what happened was, because the airport was going to be closed now, they diverted all flights to Kaduna. So anyone coming to Abuja will have to fly to Kaduna, then take a bus or train from Kaduna to Abuja. Do you know, sir, that it was this time that the senators suddenly, from out of nowhere, they realized that kidnappings has been going on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. That was the first time it came to their mind that the roads there are not so good. Why? Because they do not value the average human life. But when it came to their own life, they had value and some respect for their own lives. So they realized that this was bad. But imagine that it was a value that was in them. Then they will respect and value every human life, and they would have addressed this sooner. This is why you see that if one person, for example, died in a tragic incident in Europe, yeah, it's a national tragedy. Sometimes you even see the president going there. Scores of people can die in Nigeria today. It's like bread and water. It's like nothing happened.
If I were to be talking today to Nigerian politicians or even regular Nigerian Christians about how to fix Nigeria, people will talk about jobs, infrastructure, leadership, government, politics, but nobody will be talking about addressing issues of value systems.
Yes, sir. Why
is that such a blind spot in the Nigerian political?
Because the Nigerian, it comes also from the value of not asking questions. I'll give you an example, sir. In the states, salaries have not been paid for close to 7 months now. But the governor is building a bridge of about maybe 2 kilometers or so. Now, I was in 2016. The strategic location of that bridge is useless. It has no economic advantage. If questions were being asked, the question would have been, what's the economic advantage of this bridge? Is this bridge more needed than people getting their salaries and getting their monies paid? So we do not do the average Nigerian politician does not consider value, doesn't ask questions. Because if it did, then all of this infrastructure would have been people-based. We would be considering it from the place of people. What do people need? If people need this, then we'll build this. A lot of airports are in Nigeria, redundant, useless. Then you find out that when there's a resource and it is not meeting need, it stops being an asset, it starts being a liability. So you find out that many of the things Nigeria has now, in terms of resources and infrastructures, they are liabilities because they were not brought up from the aspect of looking at how does it impact the people. People are not considered. The lives of the people are not respected. And so if we have to talk to Nigerian politicians, they will find out that their problem is not the fact that there's no money for infrastructure. It is the fact that they lack the value of asking questions. They lack the value of respect for human lives. So if these two, for instance, just these two, will be if the Nigerian politicians will imbibe it to ask questions and then to respect human life, just these two, sir, you find out that more infrastructures will come in, and they will come in even at a more strategic location. So there's no investment in the human capital. Why? Because there's no respect for the human life. Why? Because nobody is asking the real question of how does our capital investment, capital expenditure, and the current thereof, how does it affect the life of the average Nigerian? Do you know that in the Nigerian budget, sir, I think per citizen, what it breaks down to is about 87 naira. So you can see that all that spells is poverty.
Well,
questions and respect for human life.
I know that there is a very good example that you used to bring, even though I use the same example in my book, but I think that example helps people to understand the importance and relevance of values very quickly. Yes, and because a lot of people who are watching us right now, even, they are even wondering, okay, how can value system lead to a better Nigeria? What is it? Okay, what will it do? Okay, we do all these things. How would that bring about, the Nigeria that we want to see?
Yes, sir. A wise man said that everything rises and falls on leadership. But while that may be true, but the springboard upon which everything bounces is values. So if everything will rise and fall on leadership, it means it's bouncing on leadership. But what happens there is that there's something needed, and that is called values. How does this work, sir? Where does the leader come from? The people. How does the leader lead? He leads through institutions and government. Who are those who occupy this institution and government? The people. So it tells me that even if you build a good institution and you have a well-structured and organized government, if you have people with flawed values in it, it will crumble. And that has been proven, for example, in Zimbabwe, after the seizure of the land from the white farmers, which, of course, land is the resource of the people who own the country, and of course, they are not the white farmers, but the fact that the average Zimbabwean guy lacked the right values to manage everything sport. So, now, if the average Nigerian can imbibe the right values, it means that with the right values, he will be able to build the right institution. You spoke about that in the book, Nigeria and the Leadership Question, and you said institution. So it's about institution. When values have not been institutionalized, then it is from this institution that the leaders will come out. And even if the leader does not come out of the institution will be able to direct the play, will be able to checkmate whoever the singular leader is. Again, the question that begs is, where does our leaders, where do they come from? Where do our leaders come from? They are not imported from China. They are not from Kuwait. In fact, nobody smuggled them through Togo border. They were made, bred in Nigeria. They are all Nigerians. And so, if we ever have to choose another leader again, we will choose from the pool of our values. And so, whatever our values contain is what we quote the leader we want to see. So, if our values are as black as tar, and we are picking our leader from the bucket or the pool of tar, every leader you bring out is going to be black. If our values are milk and honey, every leader will appear milk. And even if by chance we have one that does not appear milk, because our value dictates milk, we will immediately recognize that no, this is not us. This is an alien. And we're going to chase the person out. And we have that example, sir, in South Korea, where Wen Park was chased out of power because of corruption. Because Koreans said, no, this is not our value system. That was after then Moon Jae-in came. So it tells me now that the power to transform a country, the power to direct a country, the power to show where a people group will be in the next 5, 10, 15 years is in the values that they are living and leading their lives by as of this moment.
What about if Jesus Christ becomes the president of Nigeria and the people are not changed?
If Jesus Christ becomes the president of Nigeria and the people are like that, he will have the same problem he had in Israel. Remember what the scripture said about him? It said, and he came to his own, and his own accepted him not. So it may be a bogus statement, but even Jesus Christ, as of now, if he's president, he cannot change Nigeria. As bogus as that claim is, for Jesus Christ to even function in Nigeria, the values of people must be set and right. And that's why when Jesus, in fact, came to Israel, the first thing he was addressing was the values. That was what brought the necessity of the message of the kingdom. That was what necessitated the Beatitudes. So Jesus, in fact, knew that nothing will change in the lives of these people unless they transform their mind.
And when you are talking about value system or change, that Jesus will fail if he does, that Jesus will not succeed in changing Nigeria but unless it changes the value system of Nigerians. Okay, yes, in that case, change would demand from Nigerians a lot of breaking.
Yes, sir. And that's the responsibility a lot of Nigerians do not want to take. And that's why we must keep educating them. And that's why materials like this and the programs you do must keep coming to the forefront. Because until Nigerians change, Nigeria will not change.
What? No, change. Is it necessary? Does it necessarily have to be painful or confrontational?
Sir, many times it takes pain to birth. So I know that that's the natural process of life.
So for people, the reason why that's why you said Jesus will face the same situation like in Israel, which means that they will resist him because people resist
him.
People resist pain.
Yes.
Because that's why people resist change.
Yes.
So if that is the case, let's now go back to DSA. Every Nigerian is dreaming of building a better Nigeria or changing Nigeria, that Nigeria will change. Now, DSA started this process of challenging everything Nigerians believe. But he is being treated as toxic and an irritation. Somebody that is coming to disrupt our order, our respect for elders, the very same things you say we must disrupt.
You know, sir, when something goes on for too long, the people become sensibilized. For example, sir, you know, if you put, and the experiment was conducted, if you put a frog in hot water, it will jump out immediately. But if you put it in water and you just keep boiling, till it will be boiled and cooked, it will not know. So Nigerians have become so comfortable that if you are telling them that this water is hot, it's getting hot, it's going to boil soon, they are telling you, what do you know? I've been here for how many years? This is how we do our things. And so I think that's the same thing DSA is facing. And the question that I have had, and of course I have my answer, and I would like DSA to also reaffirm, is that how long is DSA going to stay?
Stay where?
Doing what he's doing.
Okay.
And for me, I know the answer. And I think that is where it lies. Because a lot of more confrontations will come. The deeper you go, the deeper or the bigger the confrontations are going to be. Because this is what you're doing. You are changing the dynamics of things. You are transferring power from those who have held it and have used it against the people, and you are giving it to the people. Nobody wants that.
No, okay.
No,
what about if it's not
to be free?
No, but that is an easy resistance when it is the elders, the people you are taking power from, that are resisting you. But in this case, more resistance is coming from the very same people that you want to give the power to. Now, and your explanation today quite explains it, the fact that they too enjoy the status quo.
And they are comfortable in it.
They don't want to be shaken.
No.
Okay, what about somebody coming out and saying, stop rubbishing our leaders? You know, they are our leaders, they are our fathers, they are our, our people who have fought for Christianity in this country. We respect them, we love them, leave them alone. Leave us alone. Go back to where you are coming from. Leave us alone.
Psychology has explained that concept, sir. And science describes it really well. It's called the Stockholm Syndrome. And that's when the abused defends the abuser. So you find out that the case of Nigeria is just like that. Nigerians have been so abused, and so many of them would rather take side with the abuser. And it was Rebirth that said, I freed 1,000 slaves, but I would have freed even 1,000 more if only they knew that they were slaves. These were guys who were defending their so-called masters as of that time. So the concept occurs every time. But the point is that what would be, and of course, this has been ordained to be, the redemption and the rebirth of our nation would be. And what we are doing and what you are doing, and we are immensely proud of the work you're doing, is that you are staying true to the cause. You know why you are here. Purpose for you is greater than process. The process may be hard, but you know that the purpose is sure. And you, like Jesus, you are looking at the glory that has been set before you, and so you are enduring the cross. And as many of us who understand and believe in the purpose, we are doing the same. So we are staying true to the purpose. We are staying true through the process. We know we are only going through it. It's just a phase. Either they like it or not. And that's one thing with people. They like to join the moving train. So people naturally only wait for train in the train station. But when it comes to life, people want to see things moving. So, of course, our train is moving, and you'll see a lot of people joining. They will be jumping in through the window because they will realize that the train.
But what is inconvenieting? What is it that is inconvenieting Christians that you say we are defending their interests? Now they are the ones now saying, no, we are not going to allow you.
There are two things to that, sir. The first one that I have seen is responsibility. The Bible says, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And it's a known concept that with freedom comes responsibility. First, the responsibility to maintain the freedom, and the responsibility to forge your own path and live your life. So a lot of people would rather prefer to live in the facade of being under the shadow and covering of another person. So when it's as though you are taking away the covering from them, they realize now that if you take the covering from them, they will have to live in the reality of the responsibility that confronts them. And these guys are not made, they are not ready for responsibility. They rather prefer to live in the delusion and the illusion of that facade. So they will defend it with their lives. And the second is the fact that these guys are already brainwashed. And so when they are brainwashed, it's not really them. It's a function of the brainwash, of the information that is in their head. So it will only have to take more time and persistence with what you're doing, more information, and thank God you're doing that. And that over time you'll say that there will be more people who will be coming to say, oh, in fact, I used to say this, in fact, I used to say, what were you doing? Why are you attacking pastors? But now I see more of that will be coming. And so it's just about staying true to the conviction that you have and the purpose for which you are doing it.
What are your expectations about your book?
Wow. I hope, my expectation is that it will get into the hands of as many as possible Nigerians, and that when they read it, for example, especially the place where I describe citizen responsibility, then they will realize that Buhari is never going to change Nigeria. And just like the American president said, the former American president, he said that Americans must be reminded that the greatness of America lies not in what the government has done for the people, but what the people have done for themselves and for one another. That Nigerians too will realize that the greatness of Nigeria can only lie in what the people can do for themselves and then for one another. And that I'm proving, for instance, by launching the Bamisaye Foundation. And we have a lot of good Nigerians who are joining forces with me. And as of now, we've been able to put about 112 children in school in just one academic session. 112.
Without waiting for Buhari?
Without waiting for Buhari. And I'm not rich, and these guys are not even the richest guys. Just imagine the population that we have. Imagine that they can invest in the next generation. Imagine that they have the understanding. Imagine that they have the understanding to invest in the next generation, to invest in social infrastructure.
How can people who are listening to you right now help, both with the spread of the book and whatever you want them to do?
Okay, so you can help me with the spread of the book by share the link to the Amazon. In fact, yourself, do a pre-order of it tonight, and anytime you get the time to do that, do a pre-order. It will get to your phone or to wherever you are on the 29th of May which represent the Democracy Day in Nigeria. And everything you share from the book, just use the hashtag Rebirth. Hashtag Rebirth. So when you use the hashtag Rebirth, it will move. So I need you to please do well to share. Inform your friends and your colleagues about this book. It is so powerful. In fact, when you read it, I'm sure probably you'll see some previews from the first few pages on Amazon when it's eventually there. You will see just how powerful it is and why it must get into the hands of every Nigerian. And so you should just help us do your best to put it in this book in the hands of every Nigerian that you know, and just let them read it, digest it, imbibe the values that are described into it. Then you sit back and watch just how the nation will change in the space of just a few time. It will be as though you slept and you woke up and Nigeria still.
What is the process of ordering or doing the pre-order?
As the price, the process.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe the team will put the link up now if they can. I think the link is with the team. So if they can put that up.
The link is with the team.
To the Amazon page, so they can.
The link to the Amazon page.
Yeah, click it.
And did you agree with?
Then by 29th of May, it will be on Okada books for those who enjoy or prefer to order on Okada books. Before, or maybe on the eve of 29th of May, it will already be on Okada books. I don't think they allow pre-order, so that's why it's just on Amazon now. So just click the link, go to Amazon and type Rebirth Bamisaye Victor. Rebirth Bamisaye Victor. So it will just show you the book and you can make your pre-order now.
So anybody can just go to Amazon right now.
Yes, and type Rebirth Bamisaye Victor, or just type Bamisaye Victor and you see the two books that I've written.
And then one can do the pre-order right there.
Pre-order right now, yes, sir.
So will I be right if I say this is the cover of the book? Is that the way?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Is that the way it looks like?
Yes, this is the cover of the book. Absolutely, sir. Rebirth. You see the Nigerian colors, the green, white, green, and then you see the R and the Rebirth, and underneath you see the subtitle of the book, Our Values Can Transform a Nation as Complex as Nigeria. Then underneath you see the name Bamisaye Victor. That is absolutely the cover of the book, sir.
Well, of course, we didn't cover the whole book. We didn't even cover, maybe we covered 2 chapters only. So there are so many. How many values in all you have, enumerated in the book?
I enumerated 7 values, sir.
And but each one of them, there has to be a technology on imposing them, or in propagating them, or in legislating them.
Yes, sir.
Is that discussed there, or that is for another time?
The way to propagate, I think it's general, but what I've really concentrated on is how to imbibe.
Okay.
Just how to imbibe personally.
So you are addressing the book to individual reader?
Yes, sir. So the individual readers, and when, for example, if one person read it and take up the challenge of the society, as I've been able to show in the book, and decide to start respecting people, decide not to litter the ground, from that place, and I believe, you also believe in the power of one. So from there, we'll begin to see the geometric progression, and we'll see that our nation will change. So for now, I've just described so much about the values and how to imbibe it, and I've shown what the lack of such values can cause.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, they are telling me that our time is up. We have to go back to Bishop Oyedepo today.
Yes, sir.
It's the new series we have started 2 days ago.
Yes, sir.
So in 30 minutes, we have to continue that series.
And I must say you are doing a good job with that, showing and demystifying the powers that be, who are not actually allowing our people to think.
Thank you so much. You are giving hope to Nigeria, people like you and all the young men that are coming up, especially this issue of values. And Anu has been doing a brilliant job as well, addressing it on his regular broadcast. So because of people like you, old men like us can have faith.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be mentored and taught by you.
Peace. We'll see you in 30 minutes.
All right, sir.